What is up, everyone? I hope everyone had a safe and happy New Year's. I got myself a little late Christmas present, which was a head cold, and it's been the gift that keeps on giving, so I have not been flying since right around Christmas time, and it's just been killing me. I figured while I was down and out, I should attack one of my gripes that I have with the Kitfox, and I have very few, just to be clear on that. But one of the things that I've had an issue with since I got this plane is there isn't a great way to put a gust lock for the rudder. So basically, for those that don't fly, normally when you tie down your plane or park it outside, most aircraft have some sort of gust lock that stop the flight controls, being, you know, on a Kitfox, it's gonna be the flaperons, these guys, as well as the elevator and rudder, from just blowing in the wind and hitting the extents. Like, you can hear this thing hitting both ends. Up until now, there really hasn't been a great way to do that with the Kitfox. Also, I should address the elephant or the SQ in the room. My buddy Jeff was trying to make it to Montana for an engine swap on his plane. Weather was not cooperating, ended up in Reno. But anyway, back to the gust lock scenario. So what I have been doing, and this honestly isn't a problem overall, for aileron and elevator, I just push the stick all the way back and wrap the seatbelt around it. What I like about it is it's not any extra parts. It's all done in the cockpit, so it's not something that's like bolted to the outside that you might forget. Because it's like the seatbelt holding there right in your seat, there's no physical way you're gonna get in the plane and forget to undo it, which is the big concern with certain types of gust locks. So as far as the elevator and aileron, you know, the seatbelt works fine. The rudder though, there has not been a good way, or I haven't come up with a good way for how to lock it for when it's parked. You know, a lot of planes have something that kind of goes around the vertical stabilizer and the rudder and kind of clamps it here. The downside on the Kitfox being a fabric airplane, I just feel like it's gonna be hard on the plane right there. I have seen some people actually build a little bracket that clamps between the bracket here on the rudder, that's for the steering springs if you're running tail wheel steering. They basically made a clamp that goes from there up to the hole up here, which is for the transport kit when the wings are folded. So what I have always done when I'm out camping, if I have a spare backpack or a bag or something, I would just stuff it against the rudder pedals to try to add some pressure so that the rudder doesn't blow back and forth. And it kind of worked, but it's also like, wasn't that good, wasn't that streamlined. So I decided to sit down and try to design something that could hold the rudders in place from the inside of the cockpit. So basically this is what I came up with. This is just a carbon tube with some 3D printed parts on the ends, and the purpose of it is to go in, it pushes up against the rudder pedal tubes like that, and just like that it holds pressure on the rudder pedals so they can't move. As you can see right here, it's fixed enough that it's not going to be blown against the extents. So this was the V1 of my design. And it works pretty well, you know, I mean, given that it had one purpose and it serves that purpose. However, this isn't perfect in a few different ways, and a couple of things I wasn't happy about were that from a printing standpoint, this thing's a little bit tough to print. It requires a lot of support material. It just uses a lot of material in general. Also, you have to buy a carbon tube and cut it down to length, and there's not really a good way of adjusting it. Basically, I'm trying to design something that other people can use in their Kitfoxes as well. So there were those two things. Also, this only works on one side of the airplane, so if you're someone that flies right seat, you'd kind of have to reach over or walk around the plane every time to set it. And also this end right here, there wasn't a lot of room there on that bolt for this to get like a good bite or purchase on. So I went back to the drawing boards, and let me show you what I came up with next. So this right here is my version 2 design, and it does a couple things different that I'm excited to show you about. So let me get this set up. It's a little hard to film while I'm doing this, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. But basically, this one will go in, and it's gonna loop under the rudder pedals like so, and go up against this tube that's right behind the panel. And that way you can push it up over center. And now this serves for two functions. Not only is it a gust lock, but it's pushing on the brakes, so now it's acting as a parking brake. And then I also designed it in a way that it basically comes out, folds up like this, and now you have this super compact little lightweight part that is easy to store. It'll honestly fit behind my head in the little headset pouch. Just for kicks, let's see what this thing weighs. On a little postal scale, I'm shadowing it, about 11.2 ounces. So it's super light. Now I wanted to try to make this as adjustable as possible so it's not just to fit my plane. So in the butt section, I don't know if you can see here, but basically I added a bunch of holes. They're all spaced like 8 millimeters apart. So you have about 2 inches total adjustability for different rudder pedals that might be set at a different distance. So I think this should fit most Series 5 through 7 Kitfoxes. I'm unsure on the earlier models because I know most of them have different style rudder pedals, so you might be able to modify the part that actually touches the rudder pedals, but I'm unsure on the distance, so I'll have to check on that. But for right now, I'm fairly confident it will fit most 5 through 7 Kitfoxes. Now, this one I will say for sure is way above my pay grade 3D modeling wise, because for those of you that don't know, I did go to school for engineering before I dropped out. And I took a 3D modeling class, but that was in SolidWorks. I'm now working in Fusion. And it's just, I'm rusty. I don't really know what I'm doing, so I can't tell you how much time this took me, not only in the design side of things, but also in the printing side. And I will say that I designed this from the ground up to be 3D printed. That is all the purpose of this thing is. It's not something that I ever thought would be like injection molded or anything, because I'm making a one-off piece. So basically designed it to print on a single build plate on my Bamboo Lab printer, and it's all done without supports. I printed in a high-end engineering grade material with high carbon fiber content. This is basically a PET CF, which is different than PETG or PETG in that it doesn't have the glycol added. Oh, another thing with this material, it's also got a very high temperature resistance, and that is a concern for me, because when you park your plane on a hot ramp, say you're in Vegas or Arizona in the summer and it's well over 100 degrees, when you're sitting on a ramp that's black asphalt, it's gonna be even hotter than that. And then the Kitfox has a good bit of a greenhouse effect, letting all the light in. So I don't know exactly how hot it is inside the cockpit in the summer when it's parked, but it's probably hotter than the heat deflection temperature on a lot of filaments. So you could technically print this out of something simple like PLA or PETG, and it would work. I would just be aware on those super hot days, and that's where this filament, the PET with CF in it, has a very high heat deflection temperature. I think it's almost 200 degrees Celsius, which is like the whole plane's gonna be melting at that point if that is the case, or there's gonna be a lot more problems. So this should be able to handle parking out in the sun, and again, it's got very good qualities as far as just impact, strength, just overall toughness. It's a good material that is designed to make finished products like this. I also added this little hole right here on the handle. That's meant to hold a remove before flight tag, just so you can remember. But honestly, with where this is positioned in the plane, it's one that I'm sure you're not gonna be able to get in and fly when that's going over your rudder pedal. So it's got the added benefit or redundancy of knowing that you're not gonna forget it because you physically can't fly when it's in there. So anyway, to anyone interested, I will put a link to the files. If you have a 3D printer and you want to print one of these yourself, I'll put the link below to that. To anyone that doesn't have access to a 3D printer, I'm considering printing these for other people, so anyone that's interested, let me know. I could probably print these for others, to anyone that's interested. But anyway guys, that is what I've been up to for the last couple weeks. Like I said, this was a lot harder than it probably looks in person. It's like, it turned out good, but we're so used to seeing so many awesome designs that, I don't know, I guess it probably just doesn't show how much energy went into it. It was a lot harder than I expected, much, much harder than designing a website with Squarespace. And you guys know where this is going. Thank you again, Squarespace, for sponsoring yet another one of my videos. And for those who are unaware, Squarespace is the ultimate way to build a website and run your business. Zero experience necessary. You choose one of their award-winning templates, craft and tweak it into your own beautiful professional looking website that's optimized for both desktop as well as mobile, and they have features for every industry. So I don't care what it is you're trying to do with your website, be it an online store, personal blog, professional photo gallery, maybe you want to book and schedule your clients using your website. You can do that with Squarespace. And so if I did end up wanting to try to sell these things, it's very easy for me to add this to my online store through Squarespace. And Squarespace does have integrations that work with pretty much every other platform. So if you already have an online store and you want to integrate that into your Squarespace website, it's super easy to do. They also sell domains, so they're truly your one-stop shop for building a website. So if you haven't yet, head over to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to purchase, make sure you use code Trent Palmer at checkout. That'll get you 10% off. Thank you again, Squarespace, for sponsoring this one. And thank you guys for sticking around on a non-flying video when the weather has just been not cooperating, nor has my health. So I'm hoping I'm on the back end of this. I feel like I'm overcoming it. I actually feel pretty good. I could probably fly today if the weather was nicer. So anyway, guys, like this video if you do. Subscribe if you haven't. Come be my wingman. See you on the next one. Peace. Touching down.